Good evening, everybody. This is Erica with EG Wellness, Body and Mind Transformations, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about weight and hormones. Um, Also, you can also go into the description part of the video, and you can see how you can join my women's exclusive group and get exclusive information in there, all things health related, and then also a free resource that you can get um, if you would like. And if anything resonates with you, please go ahead and pop on a clarity call with me. It's just 15 minutes and it's super short just to make sure um, you have the right tools to move forward. Okay, so let's talk about weight loss and hormones. Okay, so weight loss is ultimately a hormone game. Okay, everyone talks about hormones all the time, but they're the same. Hormones, weight loss, weight loss. I mean, it's our bodies are made of chemicals, right? So whether it's food or exercise, all of these things ultimately change our hormones, right? Because it changes our chemistry. So, yes, it starts with not being restrictive and creating deprivation and overcoming the internal voices that you have that keep you in that constant yo yo diet world. And that's what I mainly focus on. Consistency is the key with everything, which you've probably heard a lot in every area of life. And this also includes the type of food you put into your body. It's so important. Nutrition is so high on the thing that needs to be right, right? I mean, it regulates our hormones ultimately. So, of course, you can still eat a pizza and have ice cream and chocolate and all those yummy things, but not 5 servings of them, right? If you want to lose weight. There's some people out there are all about like no restrictions whatsoever. Like, I don't believe in total restriction. Let's get that straight. But if you want to lose weight, you have to make changes in your life, which ultimately can be viewed as a restriction, right? You can't just go on and keep doing the same thing that you're doing now and expect things to change. So that's what I mean about restriction. Some people kind of go kind of crazy with that whole feeling with weight loss, but I'm talking about you still being able to eat the foods you love and still lose weight by not having to kill yourself at the gym. Okay, that's just the main thing that I focus on. So let's get back to hormones. Okay, so let's start with estrogen. We all know about estrogen if you're a woman. Okay, if your guys are watching this, might be a good thing for you to listen to anyway, right? So estrogen regulates our menstrual cycle and prepares the uterus for pregnancy, right? So during perimenopause, which is right around our age, right? If you're like 40, 45, maybe 50, depending on, your family genetics and also what your lifestyle was before, that time period then precedes menopause, right? Perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause. So this is where your estrogen levels may fluctuate wildly. When this happens right around our age, we really have to be more mindful of what we put in our body. And that also means the amount of stress that we do to ourselves, because everything elicits a response as because we are a chemical creature. Okay. But when you do reach menopause, your estrogen levels significantly drop. This is why we're all getting these little bulges in our stomach, right? Because our hormones have shifted, but we haven't changed our lifestyle. So we can't do the same things we did when we were 20 because our chemistry is not the same anymore. Yeah. So, however, various plant foods contain phytoestrogens. Okay, these are a group of chemicals that weakly act like estrogen in your body. This could be soy and flaxseed. They're very high in it, but be careful with soy, right? We got a big, huge soy kick back in the day, and everyone's doing like soy nuts and soy milk and soy or tofu, and everything was soy, right? You still can have too much of anything, and that includes soy. But if you're having a cup of soy milk a day or having some flax seeds in your shake, that is okay. Okay, you still want to have some sort of nutritional support while you're going through all these things, as we're not spring chickens anymore, right? So then there is, let me just quick flip over here for a second to see if anybody is on. Okay, if you do happen to pop on, go ahead and tell me who you are and where you are from, and then we'll pop back to the screen and check, because I know Facebook takes some time to update that information. Thank you for joining me. All right, so let's go back to insulin. Okay, so there is another hormone, because we're talking about hormones. We just talked about estrogen, and now we're going to talk about insulin and glucagon. So glucagon is the opposite of insulin. Okay, so they work in an inverse relationship. And then cortisol. We all know about cortisol, right? That's the stress hormone. Can't, I mean, we have to have all of these things in our body, but too much of anything is never a good thing. Okay, so it's always about balance. So consistently having too much insulin in the bloodstream, aside from having negative health effects like diabetes, can also have a negative effect on your thyroid hormone. I meet so many people with thyroid problems. It is crazy. It's crazy how many people have thyroid problems, and it's usually people who are overweight, and they weren't born that way. It just all of a sudden just happened because this people are too stressed, they're not eating well enough, they're not exercising, there's not a balance in your life, and this is what happens when there's not a balance. Okay, that's why it's super important. It's best to get it under control before you're diagnosed with it. It's harder to reverse, but it is possible. Okay, it just depends on what kind of issue you have going on. So then eating, also what you could do is eating foods rich in dietary fiber. This is another thing. A lot of people don't eat enough fiber, especially people who are always eating fast foods and processed foods and things like that. Fiber is super important for slowing down that insulin response with the carbohydrates that we're putting into our mouth. Okay, so you want slow releases of that chemical in order for you not to have spikes. Okay, there's that balance again. So, in addition to providing fiber, though, which promotes blood sugar, like I was saying, and insulin control, fruits and vegetables are primary sources of antioxidants. Okay, they were not the government, even though I don't really like this whole food pyramid thing, which is now not food pyramid, it's now my plate. And there was a reason why that, because the food pyramid is broken. Okay, so it doesn't make sense and it's wrong. So go to my plate if you still think that the food pyramid is still a thing. Myplate.gov is where you want to kind of check out with portion sizes. But we have to get more fruits and vegetables in. People are going to keep telling us until the day we die. We have to have more fruits and vegetables in our diet. Most of us do not eat enough vegetables. Fruits are usually easier for people because they guard against inflammation. Most of the problems that we have is inflammatory. I know the problems that I have are inflammatory. I had to dramatically change my diet in order for my body to feel like a human being again. Okay, it's super important. And don't think otherwise. Okay, you've got to make some dietary changes if you want to feel better. It does not have to be extreme. That's what I teach my clients. It's about making small, realistic adjustments so your body can naturally go into a lifestyle change that is comfortable versus these crash diets where someone gives you a meal plan and you're expected to cook a new lunch, breakfast, or breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day, and you just lose your mind. It's just too much too soon. So here's some other things. So the inflammation is basically signs of stress in our body, if you don't know that already, and improving cortisol levels. Okay, so that's what we want to do with the vegetables and the fruits. Okay, we want to basically guard against inflammation and improve our cortisol levels. So control that. So as relatively low calorie, like filling foods, which are fruit and vegetables, can also enhance weight control because there's more fiber in it, right? It makes you feel fuller longer, so you're satisfied, so you're not reaching for everything. So eating a variety of these types of foods promotes estrogen balance as well, right? And that's what we're going for. We want balance. Okay, a lot of people have too much estrogen when we're in our 40s or so, like a perimenopause. Okay, too much, and it changes our cycle. If you have too much progesterone too, that can screw it up. But it seems to be that most people that I just talk to casually, because I'm not a hormone expert, is just the fact that our estrogen levels are too high. Those estrogen dominance is what it's called. Okay, so so in order to get a variety of these things that promote estrogen balance, particularly antioxidant, citrus fruits, tomatoes, carrots, dark leafy greens, winter squash, broccoli, bell peppers. Okay, these are some of the things that are listed for promoting estrogen balance. Okay. So if you have any questions at all, if you are on a really restrictive thing due to some health things, you're always going to want to see a nutritionist first. Okay. Um, but for healthy living, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics recommends eating at least 2 cups of fruit. Okay, and I don't think that's really hard unless you don't like fruit. I have met a few people in my life that don't like fruit, and I'm always like, what? And then 2.5 cups of vegetables. Of course, it's not in the inverse. I know I'd rather eat way more fruits and vegetables, but we seem to have more veggies than we have to have fruits. So that's a little guideline for you. 2 cups of fruits a day, 2.5 cups of vegetables. Again, I don't have to put it all into your lifestyle at once. It's about putting, let's just say, for example, this week you decide you're going to increase your vegetable intake by having 1 extra serving to 2 meals a week, right? So you're just going to sneak them in there until you get used to it. And then the next week, you'd be like, oh, that wasn't too hard. And then the next week, you'd be like, okay, well, maybe I'll try for 4 days a week with 1 extra serving of vegetables. So that's how you sneak that stuff in, okay? You don't want to just do it all at once. Snacking, I think, is the easiest way to sneak in fruits and vegetables because they're very filling and there's a lot of bite-sized kind of finger food which we love to have, and it kind of keeps our mouth busy. This usually means emotional eating. We'll talk about that in a different day. But then you're not grabbing for things like pretzels, which I thought were like the bomb back in the day, and I used to stuff my face full of pretzels all day long. I kid you not. I think I would go through a tub of, I think it's like 2 pound thing of like pretzel nibs. I would eat that in, oh my god, I think I'd eat that in a week. They'd be gone. Just at work, I'm just sitting there trying to eat them. All right, so back to the conversation here. So I get a little distracted because I get excited. Okay, so omega-3s. Okay, this is a fatty acid. The opposite of this is omega-6, but we already get far too many omega-6s in our diet. Okay, so omega-3 fatty acids are found in fish oil. There's different types of fish oil on the market. There's ones that kind of maybe leave a little like you can kind of feel it in your stomach, and then when you burp you can smell it. Those are not the greatest things. They're the most potent, at least the last time I checked. There's a lot of technology that may have changed the last time I looked into that, but you can get ones that are not I think they're called like burpless. I don't know, it's kind of funny, but basically when you talk to people you're not going to smell like fish, so they do have those out there. Okay, so you can also find omega-3s in walnuts. Okay, not my favorite nut, but when they're mixed with things, they are more palatable. Flaxseed, like I talked about earlier, and chia seeds. Chia seeds are great to kind of just put into shakes. You can put them in your oatmeal. You can sprinkle them on pretty much everything, and it's kind of fun to have that gelatinous feeling, I think. And it reminds me, of course, when I was a kid when we had the chia heads, and oh my God, I thought those things were like the bomb, and I remember my brother either broke his or broke mine, but we were not happy that we had to share one chia head. All right, so and then here's some other ones. So let me just pop over here. All right, so I'm just going to give you an overview of the things that you can start putting into your diet, right? Because again, you might want to go to your doctor and have your hormones checked to see where your hormone levels are, because they can do that for you. Cruciferous vegetables, that's things like broccoli, things that kind of have that little head. They look like little mini trees. Cabbage, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, turnips, watercress. Okay, watercress, a lot of people haven't heard of, but it's absolutely delicious. And it's got a little bit of a spicy flavor to it, and it's really good with salads, and you can put them on like sandwiches. They're awesome if you can find it. And then they contain compounds in them that depress thyroid function by inhibiting an enzyme necessary for production of thyroid hormone. Okay, so that's why you don't really want to eat them raw. So, which is unfortunate. Like, again, you're going to want to see a nutritionist about this stuff. I'm just going to give you information on what you should be thinking about. Raw vegetables can be troublesome for people with GI problems. So cooking them usually is the best. Obviously, you get the more nutrients out of them if they're not cooked, but you have to go with what your body wants, especially if you have any kind of thyroid problems, right? So these cruciferous vegetables depress thyroid function, okay? So think about that. You might want to need to change something if you have a thyroid issue. Okay, so cooking neutralizes the compounds, so it's best obviously to limit your consumption of raw cruciferous vegetables and then limit it to like 2 or 3 servings per week. Again, if you have low thyroid function. And that's according to Ingrid Kolstadt, which is the editor of the book Food and Nutrients in Disease Management, if you want to look her up. Uh, and that, I think that gives you a pretty good overview. So I think people just kind of forget that our bodies are chemical and how important it is that everything we put in our mouth and basically any external thing, right? Anything we put in our mouth, anything we put into our body, and that includes stress, right? It's going to change the chemical reaction that's happening in our body. So the easiest way to fix that, or at least prevent yourself from, being more susceptible to getting thyroid problems and diabetes and all this fun stuff as we get older, is making slight changes in your diet. Okay, so if you really struggle with this and it's a yo-yo here and there, you're really good for like a week and you're really bad the other week, and then you feel like crap every time you try, please give me a call and we can talk about it on just a short clarity call to see what's going on with your current plan and see if there's what holes there are that can be basically fixed. Right, there's something missing in your plan. Okay, and I work with all sorts of people doing basically goal setting, making sure it's sustainable for you, making sure you're not beating yourself up every time things don't go as planned, and then also working on emotional eating, which is a really important thing because we all grab for snacks when we're not hungry. There's not many people who don't, right? And a lot of people think that they're not an emotional eater, but you are. If you're tired and you grab for food, if you're sad and you grab for food, if you're bored and you grab for food, basically any time that you are not eating a regular meal. Now, granted, you need to be able to eat. If you're eating enough during your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, that's the key thing first, and you're grabbing for food in between, there might be an emotional response to that. So that's the first thing to think about, is maybe what is your body trying to tell you? And it might be just you're dealing with stress. And the best thing to get over that is to work through it. I have a 3-step method that I like to work with my clients on. So again, in the description, there's a way to get into my exclusive women's group and get a freebie, and also hop on a call if you want to talk further about how I can help you. So you guys have a great night. Thanks for popping in. And when you watch it on the replay, go ahead and do #replay, and then make some comments, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. I like to try to get back to people within 24 hours on any kind of comments, especially with the lives. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.